better. Sorry about that, guys. For some reason, it didn't connect to Facebook, and I wanted to just restart it and make sure that it got connected. All right, guys. Welcome to the Tao Talk live stream. Today is Tuesday, July 7th. Let's give a couple of minutes for folks to get connected. And let's see, we got a lot going on. The news just never ends.
Never ends at all.
Let me
How's
see.
everybody doing tonight? Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah.
I am having trouble finding us on YouTube.
Yeah. Let me see.
There we go.
We should. Yep.
There we go. All right. Make sure that you, if you are watching us, make sure that you put your name in the message so that we know that you're here and that you're watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them. We would love to hear from you. And let us know what you want to hear about. We're here to talk and, and give you information. So hopefully we can provide that to you.
There we go. I found you. The address might have accidentally changed. Let me see. Let's make sure. So there we go. Well, no, I'm actually attached. So you know what? I think we might have. Hang on. Hang on. Let me just. All right, guys. Sorry. Apparently, you disconnect and then you reconnect. It gives you a new channel. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I saw that. I definitely saw that. That's interesting. That's definitely interesting.
I just figured it would just reconnect to the same channel, but it didn't. So people are probably looking for us. So hang in there. I'm gonna get us. I'm gonna get the new address out there. So bear with me. In the meantime, some crazy stuff going on. Any word? Do we have absolute confirmation? Can we start singing "Ding Dong, the Mitch is dead"? Ding dong, Mitch is dead.
I mean, I've heard that. I don't know if he actually is or not.
So it came out yesterday that I think it was Laura Loomer of all people, but she does have a an inside track to these things. So she is the one that's reporting that he is brain dead. So yeah. But
but she's not a reliable source, and I certainly wouldn't go with that source.
But true, but she really doesn't have a reason to say anything positive or negative about this, or so it's just kind of a weird thing. Hang on, I'm trying to find my way around here. There we go. All right. So what's going on, Neil?
Well, it's been a very interesting, how should I put it? Very interesting week. Lots going on. So much is going on. So tonight there is a protest in Newburgh, against the ice warehouse. So we have that going on. So a lot of people might be there tonight. So I'm definitely with you in spirit. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person. We obviously do this podcast live at 8:00 on Tuesdays. At some point in time, maybe we'll get remote to be able to do remote live, and we'll be able to be at functions like this, and therefore be able to report live from the event. Here in the town of Waukill, the town supervisor, Frank D'Andanto, was holding his Spill the Tea event, which obviously Tuesday we can't make that one either. So we are here. So we look forward to hearing about reports about what was discussed at that event. So and obviously this past weekend we celebrated our 4th of July.
250th
250 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. not 250 years of this country's existence. 250 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence, where it stated, right, that we, the people, all of us, no matter what your race, no matter what your religion, right, we, the people, are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights. Right? Those rights were codified, right, in our Constitution, not so that the government could give us rights, right, but to ensure that government can't take those rights away. Okay? And I think that it's interesting that we have a man in the White House, right, who's never even read the Constitution, or never read the Constitution, never read the Declaration of Independence, and could give two shits, right? Because he wants to put all of us in concentration camps and take everybody's right away. And anybody who talks about immigrants and them being undocumented and that they deserve to be treated this way, nobody deserves to be treated this way. Absolutely nobody. Okay? And again, we are endowed by our Creator. We aren't endowed by anything from government. Government doesn't give you jack shit. Government takes away everything. Okay? So let's just be clear right from the start what we're talking about. So I just wanted to get that out. I wanted to vent a little. I know the Daily Gripe is a different channel, but I wanted to get
We're
that
pulling in the gripe.
because I really think that this is important. A lot of people go out and celebrate Independence Day, 4th of July. A lot of people don't. A lot of people could give two shits. A lot of people, it's just another fucking day, right? But here's the thing about America. It doesn't fucking matter. You are here. You are an American. There is no such thing as somebody being more American than you. Okay?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That doesn't fucking exist. Only in your own brain. Okay?
Or in their brain. Yes. Yes, we saw that. The storms were so bad that they had to shelter inside the African American Museum, which is pretty funny. All these people who are just a lot of them over there, all these racists hired in the African American Museum. Seemed fitting, and they were nice. They gave them water. They took care of these people.
Well, I mean, what you see is for the most part, most Americans, right, are good people. Okay? In other words, they take care of their neighbor. Trust me, I know a lot of Republicans. As I said, I was a councilman in this town of Waukegan. I was a councilman here, and Republicans were good people.
Mhm.
You know, they took care of their neighbors. We all took care of our neighbors. That was, but this party, the National Party, right, wants to make you afraid of your own neighbor. Wants you to make you afraid of everybody. By the tail end of me being a councilman, there were more complaints against people's neighbors than you could possibly imagine. Everybody
Really?
complained about their neighbor. Okay? And here's the thing. My first response is did you talk to your neighbor? No. I don't want confrontation. I don't want confrontation. Right? That was their thing, right? Sometimes we forgot as a nation how to talk to our neighbors, how to
Yeah.
love thy neighbor, right? Like the 10 Commandments, love thy neighbor, right? We have lost that. We talk about this being a Christian country, but we've lost the I love our neighbor, love thy neighbor.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
completely lost that altogether. Okay? And for what amounts to, right? This World Wrestling Entertainment, okay, shtick. Okay? Like, you look at the country now, right? Trump wasn't elected because he promised lower food prices or whatever. He talked about Sleepy Joe because Joe Biden wasn't on Twitter, because Joe Biden didn't tweet out every thought in his brain, because Joe Biden didn't do anything. Trump was going to fire people every day, right? Trump was going to be on TV. It was going to be a year-round apprentice. I called this back in 2016. All right. I said they want Trump because they want to see The Apprentice. And that's what they're getting. They're getting the apprentice president.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and if you look at WWE, what's the thing about WWE? Everybody loves the heel. Everybody wants to see what the heel is.
Oh, I don't watch it.
Next,
right? Oh, I don't watch it.
If you ever watched wrestling, right? It's everybody loves the heel. Everybody wants to see what the heel's gonna do. The heel's gonna do right, and it's fake. It's staged. Right? But now all of a sudden they're getting reality. It's reality TV all the time, and they don't give a shit who gets hurt. They don't give a shit that they're going to cut Social Security and Medicare. They don't give a shit that their mom is going to end up on the street.
Well,
right?
We can
with no food stamps. They don't care.
Well, what it is they don't want certain people to have these things, and therefore they're willing to sacrifice it from themselves in order to prevent this handful of people, these brown people or black people that they don't like, from having those benefits. Never mind the fact that, a lot of them are citizens and they're taxpayers, and they paid into this system. And so, you're cutting off citizens, but they want to redefine what a citizen is.
But they've been doing that. They've been doing that since the founding of our country. Right?
Yeah.
They first started with Jim Crow laws, no blacks
allowed, back further.
Right? And I know, but I'm giving the more recent history, right? And then you have HUD. HUD is honestly one of the biggest, most racist, right, programs that has ever been developed. And what I find is funny is that Democrats love HUD. They love hailing HUD, right? This is gonna help people, right? Provides temporary rental housing, right? And it keeps people in rental prisons, right, for their lives. Okay. And yes, it has helped people out of poverty. Okay. But look at where it stemmed from, right? Look at how it started. HUD really started as a program that created Levittown. I keep saying this, right? That was really the start of HUD. HUD was born out of the Levittown model. Okay. Levittown was a great model for this country. Right? It lifted people out of poverty, right? You had people coming back from the war. They didn't have any money. They couldn't own a home. They couldn't buy a home. They couldn't afford a home. Okay. The government stepped in and provided low-income loans for people to buy homes. Okay. That was the original housing program, right? Giving loans, the government backed loans that were low interest to low income families to come in, right, and start building equity, right?
Right.
What was the problem with Levittown? Don't hear this very often. What was the problem with Levittown?
It was whites only. It was whites only.
Once Lyndon Johnson passed, right, the Civil Rights Act, that's when HUD was created. Why was HUD created? Because they didn't want to give low-income homes to black people. They didn't want to give loans, right? Government-backed loan. They didn't want minorities building equity. So they created projects, and they called it HUD. Okay?
Interesting.
And they said you can rent, right? And through renting, you can build pick yourself up by your bootstraps, get your better job, earn more money over your lifetime, and then eventually buy a house.
Isn't that the message they're telling everybody now? Pretty much all of Gen Z and soon to be Gen Alpha. Work harder.
but it's been their shtick from day one, right? All while they pick your pocket, right?
Oh,
Rent
yeah.
it, right? It's like we're happy to give white people these things, but we're not happy. We don't want to get right. So every program that they created since has been a way to right. Like I mean, you look at the small business administration, right? Most of the loans are given out to white people, right? And
I'd like to
businesses
think
that
that's
are white.
gotten better. I'd like to think that's gotten better over the years.
It gets better with Democratic administrations, but then
Well,
you
now,
start
today,
seeing
who knows?
right, but then you start seeing, but then these white nationalists or white supremacists or whatever the hell you want to call them, they start seeing that minorities are getting ahead, and then they have to draw that back, and then they elect Republicans, right? I mean, you just need to look at Congress. Congress is not a reflection on the United States at all.
It's a reflection on the wealthy side of the United States.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
reflection on one community, and that's it.
Yeah, the ultra wealthy. And and since we're on that topic, I want to bring up the annoying SCOTUS decision last week that came out in a campaign finance case. They basically ruled that you can put unlimited money. They can spend unlimited amounts of money on candidates in elections. And
Yeah.
and they're like, yeah, no big deal. You got the money, no big deal. You can pay off your candidates, which means the rest of us get the shtuck. We don't get anything.
Hey, and again, I'm going to go to right. SCOTUS has really already made that decision. They made that decision with Citizens United. Okay, they
Hmm.
just expanded Citizens United, but let's get the reality of it, right? States across this country, there are now 2 states that have passed laws, right, regulating corporations, right? States have the ability to regulate corporations. In order to be incorporated, you have to be incorporated by
In a
a
state.
state, right? Those states then have the ability to regulate you and
Absolutely.
basically determine how you operate in that state. So 2 states have now eliminated, right? Corporate finance of campaigns, right? And corporate interference with campaigns, Hawaii being the latest, okay? By regulating corporations, by basically changing the corporate charters to operate in that state. You want to operate in our state, these are the rules that you have to follow, okay?
Nice.
And corporations will follow that because they want to do business. They want to make money. They're in the job of making money, right?
Yeah.
The whole thing about them being involved in elections is so that they can make more money, okay? Not help you, not help Americans.
Okay.
Okay? So the real question is why haven't Delaware, right? New Hampshire, Vermont, New York, New Jersey, Chicago, Illinois, California, why haven't they even started looking at laws regulating corporations and the money that they can spend? Where is New York? New York is supposed to be this progressive bastion. We are supposed to have one of the top legislators in James Skoufis in the Senate. Why isn't this even being discussed? Because corporations in New York spend a lot of money on campaigns, and they spend a lot of money on those politicians, and they ain't regulating them for shit, right? Yeah. And they are pissed off, right, that Mamdani won, okay? Defying all odds, not having any corporate money whatsoever, only doing it with campaign finance. We need ranked choice voting. We need laws that regulate corporations at the state level, okay? And we need politicians with integrity to pass those laws.
Yes.
Bam.
Yes. Bam. You did.
Done.
He did it. He's done.
And take that and put it in a reel, baby.
And it's interesting because, that brings up the conversation question about, sorry, my cat is howling. I don't know if you can hear that.
See, even the
Okay.
cat
The-
loves what I said.
the cat
Even
is like,
loves what I said.
Sorry. No,
And kittens only think of murder all day.
oh, please. I'm talking about taxing the rich, right? The state of, right? Washington State passed a law. I think do you know what the percentage? I think it was 9% that they passed. Well, Washington State, just like a couple of months ago, passed a wealth tax for the billionaires, the billionaire tax. Now, I think it's 9%, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
But here's the thing.
We need to do that.
But there's a process, right? You aren't going to be able to it's going to be really hard. Like, say in a state like New York, it would be really hard to pass a wealth tax, right? We see that with Hochul now. Hochul's refusing to pass a wealth tax because look who she's being funded by, right?
Yeah.
So if you pass the corporate charter law, right, regulating corporations at the state level, and you do ranked choice voting, right, you nullify the corporations in your state, and then you can pass the wealth tax. Then it becomes much easier to pass the wealth tax because now you're not fighting the corporate money that's going to be levied against you when you run for a campaign, right? There's a process to these things, and we need our politicians working for us. What the hell are they doing? This like, we have so many things going on right now. You have AI, right? You have all these things. Like, what are we doing? What are our politicians doing? Where are the politicians out there, right, screaming, this is what we need to do, and this is what we need to do now, and trying to get this through the legislatures?
Well, yeah, and that's that. You know what? That's where we come into play. We have to be on our elected officials' asses, both at the state level as well as state level, county level, as well as the federal level. And I don't think enough people really sort of chase around. Okay, maybe I'm wrong about that. You might know that better as a councilman. Did you find that you had people, a lot of different people coming in and saying, "Hey, what are you doing about this? What are we doing about that?" Or was it always just sort of the same?
It's always the same people. It's
Always the same people. It's always the same.
People. It's always the same people. Because
Yeah.
I mean, listen, there are a certain number of people who know that if they harass you enough, right, that they're going to get what they want. Okay? And then there are other people who just don't understand the system at all, and so therefore they sit at home going, "Oh, this system sucks."
Thank you, Knitter. I knew it was around 9%. It was 9.9, so it was just about 10% wealth tax. I like that. Yes.
Power
We should
to
do
the people.
Yeah. You know what? The states have to do that. Right? As I've mentioned before, Mega Mike Johnson was recorded on a audio podcast where he said, we got to do something about the national debt. It's very high, and we have all of these social programs that run on autopilot, like Social Security and Medicare. And after the midterms, the Republicans have a plan to make some cuts to that. Say what? That's not a tax. That's a benefit that we pay into savings so that we have this when we retire and get old.
Okay,
That's not into the tax base.
Okay. First of all, all right, couple things that I want to clarify for people, because the education on this shit, like, is so bad. So bad.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Medicare and Social Security are not in the federal budget.
Right.
Period. Right. Most people don't know that because their politicians run around and say, well, we need to, in order to balance our budget, the federal budget, we need to cut Medicare and Social Security. Medicare and Social Security are not in the federal budget. Period. Right. It's not up for debate. They aren't. It's not even up for debate. Right. Medicare and Social Security are funded, right, not through any other taxes other than payroll taxes. That's it, right? 7.5% from you, 7.5% from your employer, go right into Social Security and Medicare. Okay? And that's separate. Okay?
Right.
Now, what has the federal government done? The federal government because there were more people paying into Social Security than were taking out from Social Security, okay, that meant that there was a pool of money. Well,
Right.
there's not money there, right? Because what do the politicians do? Well, you have a pool of money. They're not going to let it sit. There's no way to let it earn interest. So fuck it. They borrowed the money, right?
Yes.
Let me go back. Do you remember Al Gore saying, "I'm going to take your Social Security and put it in a lockbox"? How many people remember Al Gore saying that?
I don't remember that.
He
Put it in a lockbox?
He did. He said he was going to take Social Security and put it in a lockbox. Right.
So nobody could touch it.
Because that was his that's how he thought he was going to win that election. Right. It failed miserably. But by not putting it in a lockbox, the government spent that money. So when they say that we're going to run out of money, it's because they spent the savings. They've already spent it. And if they want to pay it back, that means they have to tax you to pay you back.
Fuck that.
They have to tax you to pay you back, right? I'm going to say that one more time. And they have spent all the Social Security money in order to pay back Social Security Trust Fund. They need to tax you to pay you back.
Yes.
For the money that they stole.
Yeah.
Okay. So, it really just boggles my mind that people don't understand that. So when they talk about cutting Social Security and Medicare, or they say it runs on autopilot, programs that run on autopilot are usually pretty fucking good and people like them. Right.
Right.
But the government can't have that because the government wants you hating your Social Security. They want you hating your Medicare. So they have to make it worse so that you hate it so that they can get rid of it because that's what they want.
Or privatize it so you can pay a fee to get your money.
Yeah, you can't privatize it now. There's no money left to privatize.
Well, yeah, either they bottom it out or they try to privatize it and try to nickel and dime you for it.
What they want to do is they want to steal it, put it into a Trump slush fund, right? So that way they can get rid of Congress at the end of the day. That way he has money to spend. Listen, he's already spent the money on our Iran war. People thinking that any of these fuckers are gonna go for their best interest. You're kidding yourselves. And when I say these fuckers, I don't just mean the Republicans. I'm talking about Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries too. Those fuckers are they're going to sell you out faster, right, than you could possibly imagine. Just like they did all last year. Right? Yes, the media did make fun of Al Gore when he used the. See, somebody else knows about the lockbox.
I do not remember that. It's been 25 years, 26 years. I do not remember the lockbox.
I am about politics. It really shows you what a savant I am about politics.
Seriously. No, I don't remember. God, and I don't remember. And I voted for Gore. So, yeah.
Yeah, he was all about the lockbox, and everybody made fun of him, right? It was like the lockbox, they made fun of him, and then he said he invented the internet, and everybody
well, that one I remember.
He was said that he was
that
fucking
I
nuts.
remember.
But keep in mind, Al Gore was in Congress at the time that the law had passed regarding the internet, and the internet started as government. It started as a government contract.
Yes.
And then expanded outwards. So Al Gore, right, led the committee that passed that. That's what he was talking about. He wasn't like, I invented the internet. He basically created the basis for which we have an internet today. And people made fun of him for that. But, that's part of what government does, right? The reason why I brought that up is that there are a lot of things we have today because of government spending. Right? Because the government did it. Okay? The government says we have a need. The private industry won't build it for us because there's no profit in it. So we'll have private companies build this for government, and then if it becomes marketable, if it's something that they can mass market, they will,
Mhm.
right? And that's what we see. We've seen this throughout history. When these we there are now just a handful of corporations. What are they innovating?
Well, nothing because they own everything. They've consolidated so much power, they don't have to innovate anything because they're not competing with anyone.
Right. And what
They've
if
they've
and
gobbled up the competition. That's
thank
all
you for
that's
thank you
yeah.
for saying that. Thank you for saying that. So what have they done, right? So not only are they not innovating because they are so big, right? What have they done next? They've prevented China and others from entering our market with new goods and services, right? To to essentially stifle growth, okay?
Right.
Because they don't want us buying a Chinese product. They want us buying, right, a Apple product or a Samsung product or one of the companies that they have deemed to be winners, right? We've heard about government. Oh, we heard politician after politician say we don't pick winners and losers. When you don't allow, right, the largest telecom company in the United States, right, which is Huawei, which is the Chinese company, right? You don't allow them in the United States, then you're afraid of competition. Then you become afraid of competition. Then you become a fascist, right, against capitalism. Okay? And it's funny how China, a communist country, is beating us in capitalism, right? They're
Yeah.
beating us in capitalism because we are now fascist. And
Right.
we have to accept that and we have to admit that in order to be able to go back the other way, right? And allow our economy growth again, allow smaller companies to build and grow and innovate and become what America is great at, which is
Right.
innovating, education, right? And growth. Let's get
Yes.
back to that.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, Denise.
Um,
I didn't mean to
no,
take up
no,
all our
you get
time.
no, you haven't. We still got plenty of time. We still got plenty of time. So a couple of things heard today. Not that it was off, but it appears the war is back on. I was just caught a news before I was getting set up here that apparently Iran bombed like 4 tankers today, or attacked 4 tankers. I don't know if they bombed them, but did you hear anything about this?
Didn't hear anything about it.
Well, yeah. So
I was working today.
okay.
Sorry.
So the MOU is trash. It was never really that
Was there
strong.
really ever an MOU? I mean, let's get real.
No, but what I would recommend is that anybody take a look at the market and see if any big trades were made before the war went back on again. Because that seems to be what this is. I kind of think at this point Iran is involved too with this, with making money, cashing in on this. Everybody's cashing in but us.
Here's the thing. All right. You people are being robbed. Everybody is being robbed.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm being robbed, you're being robbed. We are all being robbed. If you're trading, so everybody thinks, "Oh, well, if this person's insider trading, what's the big deal?" The big deal is that they're stealing from you. When somebody's insider trading and trading on inside information, okay, and they're gonna go like buy a stock, okay, somebody has to sell the stock,
Oops.
okay, right? So what does that mean? Okay, right? That means that the seller of the stock is selling the stock based on the information out there. You're buying the stock based on some insider information. They're losing money. Because if they had the same information as you, they might not sell. Okay?
Yes.
And who is usually the biggest loser, okay, when it comes to insider trading? Okay? You may say, I'm not trading any stocks, so it's not me. Do you have a 401k?
401k.
Do you have a pension plan? Right? When you hear the word institutional investor, That's you.
Yep.
That's you. You're an institutional investor. You are investing in a 401k pool that is investing in the stock market. They are called institutional investors. Your 401k, T. Rowe Price, right? BlackRock, all those companies, Vanguard, all those companies that you're investing through, okay? Those are institutional investors. They're leaving the market now because Trump has turned the markets into a casino, right? Where he has all the information.
Right. Yeah. Where he's the house. He's the
Right.
house. And it's
So-
interesting, since you bring him up, because last week it came out all of Trump's financial trades and everything that's been going on. And one of the most significant ones was the meme coin. He sold his meme coin.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
And when it was sold, he sold it like it was it the day before, the day after, or the day of of the inauguration for $75. Today, those meme coins are worth about $1.75. They plummeted. So people, Trumpers went and bought these meme coins, and God knows how many they bought. They lost all their money, but Trump must have shorted it because his income went up. He made $2 billion on that alone.
First of all, my advice: don't invest in anything you don't fucking know what it is. Right?
But Trump said it was good.
I don't give a shit. You don't know what the fuck it is, don't invest in it. The second thing is it fucking tangible? Can you fucking touch it? Okay? Right? Like, we become a society, right, where we're investing in things that really have no value at all. Cryptocurrency has no value. Okay? None of these things have any value. The only value associated with it is the value we assign it. That's it.
Yes.
And so think about that. Okay? Somebody's valued a coin, but what does it really mean? What tangible value does it have? Can you go to a bank and buy a house with Bitcoin? Generally not. Okay? You have to convert it first.
Right.
Okay? So the value is what it's converted into. All right? Which means that whatever it's converted into is usually what you call your base currency.
Okay.
Okay? So we have to keep this in mind. These things aren't real, and don't invest in anything that isn't real. Okay? Because at the end of the day, you could take a bath with it.
Yes. There was if you ever want to learn about shorting and how it works and how things can go really sour for the person who tries to short a stock. There was a documentary on Netflix. You probably heard of this. This had to do with the GameStop, with the with the Wall Street Bets group that went in, and they went up against an institutional investor who, working off the news that electronics boutique wasn't doing so good, decided, hey, we could use that, and I could short GameStop. And the group, long story short, the group Wall Street Bets is a big Reddit group with thousands of members. They all got together and they fought against the shorting and kept buying the stock, and the money went up. The stock went up. It went from about $25. The guy, they tried to short it. A big $1 billion hedge fund tried to short it down to like maybe $20. No, everybody else got in, kept buying the stock. And when it finally stopped, I think it was over $300 a share, pretty much bankrupted that hedge fund. But it's an interesting story. One of the most significant things that came out of it, and again, it's on Netflix, just like look up story about GameStop, was they interviewed an SEC officer, and I'm working on memory here, but he talked about how the marketers, the guys behind the desk there who do the traders, they found a glitch that they could use, like, because what was happening is all these shares from GameStop were selling
Right.
so fast that there was nothing left in inventory to sell. So they discovered that if you did a fancy bunch of key clicks, like, I don't know, Control Shift Alt F7 or something, suddenly it would make an artificial share appear. So they were all doing that, and they were selling these shares that don't exist. And this works for all different types of stocks that they have. So it's a cheat. So what he pointed out is to make sure if you buy stock that you have a piece of paper in your hand, because there is a lot of intangible shares in the market right now.
I think what we're seeing, right, is exactly what they saw in 1929, right?
Yes,
You
yes.
know, it is this gluttony, right? It's this decadence, right, from our wealthy, and you're seeing a stock market that isn't real. Okay.
Yeah.
Remember, in 1929, one of the things that really killed the stock market was the fact that a lot of the stocks, there was no company. It didn't exist, right? It
Yes.
was people just, right? Meme coin, crypto, right? You right now, so you look at the 90s.
Intangible
Every
shares.
everybody keeps talking, right? We talk about the stock market in the 90s. There were over 7,000 stocks that were being traded in the 90s. Okay, that we could partake in. There are roughly around 3,000 today. Okay, you have more money with less stocks.
With
Okay,
less
and the
choice.
stocks and the stocks that are there now, a lot of them aren't as good as they're trading at. Okay, like, and that's sort of the value isn't there. But the problem is that every month, right? Every month, we all take money out of our paychecks and we put it into the stock market, right? Well, you go from 7,000 to 3,000 and you keep pouring money into those 3,000 stocks. Well, the stock maybe should be trading at $1, but if you have less stocks to buy and you are a portfolio manager and you have this money that you have to invest, well, that's going to boost the stock price because now you have more people buying the stock, right? So a lot of these stocks are just really overvalued.
Overvalued. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
They're overvalued. Right. And there are a couple of, like, so I talk about Michael Berry. Michael Berry was made famous. He was the CEO of Sentinel Partners. He was the guy featured in The Big Short. So anybody who's seen the movie or read the book The Big Short will know Michael Berry. He shorted Nvidia
Yeah.
because he said there this he said the market conditions are such that a company is that this company cannot maintain its value. There is absolutely no way this company will be able to maintain its value, right? So we shorted Nvidia, right? Well, what is interesting about Nvidia, now I'm going to bring up a Nvidia story, right? Because we heard about the big deal with China and Nvidia, right?
Yes.
The federal government's going to take 15% of Nvidia, okay? Um and this is going to be this big deal, okay? So Nvidia just had its recent earnings call, and when you publish your SEC filing and you do your earnings call, you're supposed to you're supposed to put in your financial statements, in the notes of the financial statements, any major, right, events that occurred, okay? Even subsequent to year end, you're supposed to put any major events that occurred, okay? And you're obviously going to tout those events on an
Mhm.
earnings call, right? Like, hey, we made this great deal. We're going to be selling to China, right? Nowhere in their financial statements, nowhere in their earnings call did they mention the deal with China. Did they mention the 15% or the deal with Trump? It wasn't even mentioned.
Well, yeah, and that's a separate thing. The deal with Trump, you know, it we now we're hearing all of this Red Scare stuff. Oh, because the Democratic Socialists are being portrayed as communists. They're all communists, and they're not. But it's interesting to note that in communist China, corporations have to give a little share to the government, to Xi Jinping, 10%, 15% kickback. We've never we're now doing that. Trump is now doing that. He gets a
But
piece of businesses.
here again, did it happen? That's what I'm trying to get at. Did it actually happen? This administration has been great with propaganda. They've been great with lying to the public, and they've been great about making this stuff up. SEC filings are really clear what you have to do.
Yes,
right?
but again, SEC is
can't
now under his
I-
purview.
I cannot imagine NVIDIA not touting their deal with China if they had it in an earnings call, right? Because that would boost their earnings, right? This comes down to you cannot trust this administration.
Oh, well, that's absolutely obvious.
So an announcement like that sounds great. It's going to boost NVIDIA's stock, okay, which Trump partook in, but then the earnings call comes and all of a sudden it's not there. Okay, so the question is did it happen? Are these things happening, or are they just another manipulation of the stock market?
That's a good question.
So that these guys can profit, right? Think about it. He gets into NVIDIA at one price, okay? He sits there and says, hey, we made this great deal with China. We're going to get 15%, yada, yada, yada. Stock market immediately shoots up. He sells, makes a fortune of money, right? NVIDIA does their earnings call, doesn't mention it at all, blah, 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 like it never happened.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's just it.
Short-term
That's
gain.
just it. Short-term gain. And we're seeing that. Like this is and this affects all of us, because eventually this is unsustainable if the market collapses. And it's interesting. Some of these more legitimate outlets are saying we are teetering very close to the way the market was just before the collapse in 1929. We're getting closer and closer.
That's why I mentioned it. That's why I mentioned the NVIDIA thing. That's why I mentioned, right? That's why I'm going through all these things, because I'm trying to link for everybody that all these things are related, right?
Yeah.
History does repeat itself. And if we don't know our history, it will repeat itself. The issue becomes you have a 30% contingent of your population, right, that doesn't care, that wants it to happen. They want America to fail, right? And again, every accusation is a confession. What do they constantly say about us? We want America to fail. No, they want America. They are pushing for America to fail. Right? For what reason? Because of this. Because of all the little things that they want to do, and because they want to make this a fascist country ruled by them. Right? And by them, I mean white nationalists. They want to make this a white nationalist country.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting, because we had, in the midst of this whole thing in Washington, this America, actually they called it Freedom 250. America 250 was the real event that was supposed to happen. There was about 400 Patriot Front white nationalists marching through the city. They tried to claim that was Antifa, except the guy who is the leader of that whole group, I don't know his name, and I don't care to know his name, was in the crowd, was seen in the crowd, and he's the only
interviewed.
Yeah, he loved. I was just going to say,
event, and Patriot Front live streamed the protest.
Yep, and they're like, it's Antifa. It's Antifa. No.
Here's the thing. They walked through DC. They didn't even have a permit. If any other group, and I don't even care the group, you pick a group out of the fucking sky, right? If they're protesting, if they have any type of rally, protest, you name it, in DC, they have to be permitted. Otherwise, they will be met by the police. Okay?
Yep.
They
got escorted.
Got escorted without a permit. Okay? Now, again, for those people who talk about the law, right? Because I always love those people, right? Because they usually are these white nationalists who talk about the law. It's, again, okay for you to break the law, but nobody else to break the law.
Yeah.
Right? So I just want to understand where I stand and what this means for me. What you are telling everybody is the law is for everybody else and not for me. Okay.
Yeah.
So as long as we listen, we're all Americans. We all want to play by the rules. Okay. We just want to know what the rules are. That's it. Tell us the rules and we will follow them. Okay. What happens is you're telling us follow the law, follow the law, follow the law. We follow the law, and you still fucking arrest us and do whatever, right?
Yeah.
And you guys just break the law left and right, and nobody gives a shit, right? So now what we understand is the law is whatever you say it is at any point in time, right? And you don't have to follow any of the laws that are on the books because you have
Right.
no laws. Thank you.
Yes.
Now that we all understand that, now we can all know exactly what it is that we're either fighting against or how to follow those rules.
Right. Yeah. So TOWSW says, or TOWSW says, MAGA was fighting the cops and the Secret Service at the 250 event. Yet you didn't hear anything about arrests. But anybody who touched the water by the pool was dragged in, right? They're going to throw the book at this poor Olympian. They want to try and get him arrested for 10 years for this gash in the pool simply because he reached in and took a piece of that vinyl that had come up off the bottom of the pool out of the pool, but all of the audience at MAGA was trying to run back in into the event so they wouldn't lose their seat in the middle of what looked like a freaking hurricane coming down. Nobody got arrested for that, even though they were screaming at the cops and saying they're all lying, and they were saying the best was apparently the liberals were controlling the weather. Seriously, we live in some really fucked up times. People were like, yes, the liberal weather people.
This is WWE wrestling, right? I mean, they have Linda McMahon there, they have the whole thing going on, right? This is the heel. They don't get, again, they're going to say whatever will outrage, right, the rest of us, right? Because they're going to be like, oh, we own those libs, that's their mentality about everything. They don't, again, the law doesn't matter, right? White supremacists walk through DC without a permit, right? Ha ha ha, we own those libs. Look at us. We can do whatever we want and nobody's going to touch us. That's what they're saying. That's the mentality these people have.
That's not for long. The pendulum will go back the other way.
You say that. I
hope so.
I seriously wonder. There until these states start reining in the corporations, okay? And we could start reining in the surveillance state, and we could start reining in the money in our politics, and we get ranked choice voting, and until some of these things start coming, we aren't going to, I mean, ranked choice voting was how many years ago? New York, what are we doing? We don't want ranked choice voting because we're Democrats and we just want Democrats to win, right? Democrats have controlled the state for decades, and we have the most surveillance of any state in the fucking union, right?
Say what?
I mean, we have flock cameras everywhere.
Oh my God. Yes, I know flock cameras everything.
And
Orange, really?
And they're taking money from Peter Thiel to AI everything. What, again, you look at Democratic states and Republican states. Okay, yeah, Democrats do a little better in education, and Democratic states have a little bit more social services, and you get paid more in a little. But look at what's happening on the other side, because people aren't paying attention.
That's true. Well, look, we have to have goals. We have to have things to pursue. We have to really articulate, in the words of Heather Cox Richardson, the things we want. We really, if you got to write them down, or you got to make a list of the things we should pursue in trying to reform the country. I mean, it's not going to go back to the way it was. That's not happening. But it doesn't mean that, because they are barreling at a blistering pace to a collapse. And from that could be the possibility for something better. But we need to, Yeah. Well, look, I'm trying to be optimistic. Jesus Christ. We'll
I
never
keep
be
saying,
there. If we're dooming
I
and glooming, you're going to just make it
I
happen.
keep I keep saying I keep saying when people are running for office, we need to be very specific about what policies that they're going for. If they can't articulate the policies that they're going for, they shouldn't be elected. Period. I
Well,
don't care
yeah.
whether you're Democrat or Republican, okay? We need to start holding people accountable. And if you are any individual and somebody comes up to you and you say you're going to vote for somebody and then say, oh, what do you like about that person, and you can't name one thing, why the fuck are you
Are
voting
you
for that
voting for?
person? Right? Like,
I swear, if your only platform is the other guy is bad, well, what are you doing that's good?
right.
What's what are your policies? What are you advocating for? Why are you running? What are you hoping to change? What are you hoping to accomplish? What are you hoping to do? I'm tired of hearing the other guy is just bad. The other guy just isn't working enough hours. The other guy is what? Well, how many? I don't care about what's he doing. He's accomplishing things. I mean, if things are getting accomplished, doesn't really matter the amount of hours. Hours don't mean anything if you're sitting there scratching your ass and reading a newspaper all day long, right?
Right.
So,
Listen, you hit the nail on the head. I
yeah.
mean, the people, I heard so many times walking around, oh, well, he's doing a good job. He's doing a good job. Okay, how? What's he doing? Right? Like, nobody can answer questions. That's the problem. It's the idea that nobody, so I don't really want to get on this tangent, but I'm going to get on this tangent, right? Because
But
I
he's
think
going
it's
to do it
important,
anyway.
right? Because it's about local politics, right? So we've played some videos about what's happening in Monroe, right? With
Yes.
Supervisor Maureen Richardson. Okay. The Republicans there are putting a master class, okay, in politics, okay? Because when a Republican's in office in this area, Democrats don't say fucking boo. They keep their mouths shut. They wait till election time and then they run and they say, oh, well, this person was so bad. But you didn't say it when they were bad. You're saying it now after the fact. Okay.
Right.
And what ends up happening is that people then just think that you're either lying or that you didn't give a shit before and now you're only running. So now you care. Right. It becomes like one of those type of things, and then, right, if you're not there to do the job and you're not there to be in opposition, then don't run, right? What's happening in Monroe is a masterclass because the Republicans are coming out either, and they're coming to board meetings, just as we've seen, right? And they're confronting her on either lies or on information or whatever it is that they want to do. But they are making her look like the bad guy. They are making her look like she is immature, that she doesn't know what she's doing, right? They are making her look bad. And here's what I'm going to tell you. I watched some of those meetings. Maureen Richardson knows what the fuck she's doing.
Really?
Okay? She knows
So,
what the fuck she's doing, right? Listen, I'm not going to talk about her personality, right? Like, I've been accused of that myself, like many, many times, right? But she, they call her these things because they're taking advantage of the fact that she's young and she's a
mhm.
woman,
Yes.
okay? And people are buying into that bullshit. And here's what I'm going to tell you. It's some fucking bullshit. It's just bullshit. But they are doing a master class, okay? And if Democrats want to have any hope of winning continuously moving forward, they have to be engaged every fucking day.
Yes.
Okay? It can't be just during politics times. They have to show up to town board meetings. They have to talk, right? They have to know what they're talking about and they have to say how they would do things differently. They have to provide a vision, right,
Yeah.
for your
Yeah.
area. And here's what I'm going to say. So one of the guys that was criticizing, so I'm going to share a video right now,
Okay.
right? just a little fun way to end this meeting. So this is the village board meeting, all right, trustee board meeting in the village of Walden, where the former supervisor of Monroe now sits as the village manager. If we go back a few months to one of the videos, we talked about the village manager in the village of Walden was John Revelle. John Revelle was indicted by the Orange County District Attorney's Office. So he had he was forced out. Tony Cardone came in as the former supervisor to be the village manager, right? I want to play you a clip, right? Because I think it's important for people to see this, right?
Okay.
They are discussing an issue of hiring an employee, okay? Now remember, he's just the village manager. He's not on the board.
The sound is muted.
Oh, sorry about that.
To make a decision tonight on it is a little, it hasn't been, I don't know about everybody else, but you want me to make a decision on something that I haven't discussed with anybody. I don't know. So
What's your hesitation though?
because I haven't discussed it. Like,
But
I'm
what
just
is-
gonna,
What is there
wanna
to
know
discuss
everything.
though?
Everything. Like, I want to know. So if everything's been discussed, if I missed that meeting, whatever, that's fine. That's my fault. Obviously I had something else going on that night. But I can't just hire somebody without like knowing why,
Good for her.
I just,
So let me just make it,
you
you-
know what's going on. 'cause
you're
you-
losing, no, I'm gonna explain to you again. You're losing $500,000
I
a
understand. I
year.
understood you the first
For the-
time, but for
for-
you to understand, I understood you the first time. I heard you.
For the
but-
last 3 years.
I understand that. But you sat in there for what, 2 weeks and you got this figured out or whatnot? I'm hearing this for the first time right now and you want me to make a decision like that? I don't know. I haven't seen that paper. I haven't seen any of that information.
Well,
But he's,
I
I
understand.
get what you're saying, but he's trying to explain it to you now. He's telling you now.
Yes,
that
but,
this
and you
went
want me to
to
make
the-
a decision right now on it.
Well, it's pretty critical what's
It's
happening.
pretty-
We are just
Okay.
bleeding money. We are losing
Then
so much
maybe it should have been
money.
discussed. How many,
We just are all hearing that he's been here for, we've had,
didn't you just say that this
Yeah,
has
we
been
got-
an
we just-
ongoing?
We knew from budget.
we knew at
because John
budget that
Quinn-
something was happening with our
All right,
money. We
that's
knew.
fine. Do your vote. That's fine. We don't need to drag it out.
Well,
I kind of agree with Chris only in the sense that I get that you're telling me that we're losing this money, right? But I kind of want to see the paper that says we're losing this money. Or can you show me a report that shows we're losing this money?
yeah. it's
Right?
show-
That's all I'm saying. I haven't
I
seen
could
it,
show you,
so I don't
I
want to
could
make.
show you a report. I'll have John Queen and email you the report.
That'd be great. That's my only point. It's like, and
That's,
I
you know,
want
we can do it the
as
next
far as
meeting.
where the
Figure it
money's
out.
coming
bring it
from,
back to the next
all
meeting.
those things are things that I would be concerned about. And it's not so much that I disagree with the fact that we need it. I agree with Chrissy in the sense that like, I don't know if I can fully make a decision on something I don't know fully.
Yeah, I don't fully disagree. I just don't know. I want to see it before I just agree to do something, before I
Yeah.
to spend money or not spend money or whatever. That's all.
I also agree that it's not a huge amount of money to save a lot of money. I get that point. But I just want to understand this situation that everyone else has kind of seen the numbers and talked to people about, that I haven't had a chance to do any of that with.
I haven't seen any numbers except for what I'm hearing. And when I'm hearing $500,000 of loss and you're not getting it, then for me, that is an issue. And if I'm trusting in my engineer and I'm trusting in the people that are working for us, then that's what I'm trusting in, because we have those people for a reason. And when they discussed it at budget, and that's when we said we really need to look into that and what we can do. And everything happened after budget, so we got through budget. I mean, we're just getting through one step at a time, and we're finally getting back to where the board can be productive. I mean, it hasn't been, there's been questions, there's been this, there's been that, and so we are finally getting to a point where we can be productive. And I'm happy we are, because there's so much that needs to get done here that is not getting done and hasn't been getting done. So hopefully now we can move forward. I understand where you're coming from, but all I heard was 500,000, and I heard it at budget. I heard it from our engineer. I heard it from
treasurer.
treasurer, that there's not where it's coming from. And was the billing wrong? We don't know. We don't know. So it's really having somebody to be able to figure that out for us. There's not enough people to figure it out. The water department has actually talked to Lynn and Tony about things that they think they can do to help. So everyone's on board to really try to help fix the situation because they know it's an issue. So that's my point of view.
So Mayor,
Okay.
maybe,
There's nothing behind people's backs at all. I mean, this is just done, it just came up. It was something.
so
that-
maybe Jerry and Lynn would withdraw the motion and we can put this on for the meeting in July. The manager said he is going to be looking into some of the courts. We have some inkling as to what some of these situations are, but maybe by that time we get a better pictures to satisfy other board members who have concern about.
You've had your engineer the last 2 years present this to you, and it's been ignored.
Well, the
Now
thing
you-
is,
now you're
it's
gonna
the
ignore it.
board's, but however, it's the board's decision to whether they want, okay, so.
I understand
It's
that.
not a point of argument, it's a point of the fact that it's the board's.
He's getting
decision.
pissed.
So
Can I-
you
can I
made your
finish?
point,
Yes.
you made your point, and now it's the board's decision.
Can I ask Tony a
Look at this.
quick
Now watch
question?
this.
Sure.
Watch this.
Tony,
Excuse me, Tony.
Tony, just a quick
Ooh.
question.
What's that?
On that billing, that does not include what we're losing on sewer, correct?
Excuse me?
Doesn't include what we're losing on sewer also as a result of the
I
weather.
don't know because I didn't analyze that. I can't answer that. You might be, you might not. I'm not positive.
Because the point I'm
Vote
trying
by
to make
vote
is that
anyway.
our water bills, when we get our water bills, there's actually a higher number based on that usage of water.
So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna play that.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But so why did I play that? You know, we talked about Maureen Richardson, right? The supervisor of Monroe. And people like to talk about her being, oh, she's immature. How immature do you have to fucking be, right? To be sitting with the board as an employee, right? And because the board, right, was not provided the information by you to them so that they can make an informed decision, right? And you're there telling that, just saying, well, you vote because I'm saying so, right?
Yeah.
For them to say, you know what, we're going to hold off, for you to get up out of your seat and walk out.
And storm off. And storm off when you didn't
Right.
get your
Now-
way.
Now,
And
now,
then
we did-
not be able to answer a question about the sewer. Well, I actually don't know that. Well, there's another reason to wait.
well, listen, there probably is a problem there. I'll be the first one to say there probably is
you
a
think?
problem there, right? And they definitely need to hire somebody. Okay, that's without question. Okay, but here's the thing. You have to be. This is how he ran Monroe. This is exactly how he ran Monroe. Was the fact that he sort of bullied his board to doing things that he wanted to do, and they weren't. It wasn't that they weren't
And so that-
necessary. A lot of them were necessary, but at the end of the day, it leaves a bad taste in voters' mouth.
Yeah.
Because
And
now all of a
that guy
sudden
that
you're-
that guy that
Sorry.
stormed off is the guy who was the former supervisor
Yes,
of
that's Tony
okay.
Cordone,
The-
yes.
Okay.
He's now the village manager of the village of Walden, and he ended up storming off the dais. Now, did he come back? I'll give him credit. He came back. He came back to the dais, right? But he didn't say anything the rest of the meeting, and he was just sort of like, you know, in his chair. This is what it's like. This is a proper board. I give a lot of credit to this board. This board is really, really smart. All right. They are amazingly diligent, right? And
Yeah,
they
you saw that,
really,
yeah.
really care. Okay. And they're probably one of the few boards that I've seen work that way. And they work very well together because it's very nonpartisan board, right? They're all there.
That's what you need.
Right. They're all there to get everything right, get the finances right, get these numbers right. They know that there's been a problem with the finances for years, and now they're working hard here. So
Same story, different
full-
town.
I give the village full credit. They're trying their best, right? But storming off the dais because you didn't get your way, because board members right? Like, come on, come on. You're better than that. Be better than that.
No, no, that's, you know,
But that's
it
politics today. But what I find is interesting is that that guy was at the last meeting in the town of Monroe, right? And he was one of the people trying to say that the supervisor there was immature and couldn't handle the job, right?
that we oh, give me a break. That after that display? Nice.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like I mean, you know, like all I'm gonna say is like we all have to be better, and we have to understand that politics in your local community, right? We have to take care of our neighbors. I'll get back to what I said at the beginning. Love thy neighbor. It's
Yes.
all about your neighbors. It's all about the people you live with, right? Your property value is only as good as the property value of the home next to you, right? It's
Yes.
only as valuable as your neighbor's home. Okay?
Yeah.
We're all in this together. We are all in this together, right? I don't understand why people haven't figured that out yet.
Yes. Well, I've got one thing I
Sorry.
wanted to bring up. I had a
Okay.
couple of different things I planned to talk about, but we got off on so many different tangents, which is fine. We have a lot of fun here and we talk things. But I just wanted to say I wanted to so badly, but apparently it's not going to happen because I wanted to sing Ding Dong, the Bitch is Dead. But apparently, according to Yahoo, McConnell speaks to Republican leaders as speculation swirls about his health and remains hospitalized. But of course, we don't get to see. Yeah, he is. I think they're playing the Bernie's, the weekend at Bernie's here. It's weekend at Mitchie's right now. I think they're going to push it. Not sure what people know about this, but in the state of Kentucky, it used to be that if a seat was vacated, the governor could appoint someone, but the legislature, the Republican-led legislature, locked the Democratic governor out from having that opportunity in 2024. So, if a seat is vacated, then they have to have a special election, unless, of course, that vacating of a seat occurs within 90 days of a major election, in this case, the midterms. So that 90 days would begin at August 3rd. And I think they're trying to keep him on ice until, literally, on a machine here going until August 3rd, at which time they might say, oops, he passed away. And then that pushes the special election and the midterms to happen at the same time. And whoever is elected, which will hopefully be the same person, will continue all the way into the new year. But the interesting point is the reason why you would want, if it was vacated now, this would create an opportunity for Thomas Massey to get into the race and run for that seat.
He's
Because
not
he
running
wouldn't.
for that seat.
You don't think he'd do it?
No,
You don't
why?
think? Well, he's not going to be.
He's not going to be a senator either, because that seat still has to. They still have to vote in November. It's only a short term. It's only temporary until the November election. McConnell's up in
Correct.
November.
Well,
So
until
whatever
the end
it
of the
is.
year. But
Right. So
you
why
don't
would he
think
leave his House seat for a Senate seat?
he could maybe do? He wants to push the Epstein files. He wants to, it would give him
It's not
maybe.
gonna. He you know what? He has a
Well,
lot of
this
power.
is-
Believe it or not, he has a lot of power in the House.
Well, let
He
me
has
ask
a
you
lot
this.
of power in the House now.
Well, he doesn't. Well, maybe.
You know.
But let me ask you.
I think the
He-
speculation against Thomas Massey, I think, is just that he's not running for Senate this year. Not only that, why would he? He's a House of, he's a representative until December 31st. Why would he want to be in the Senate and be a new senator for 6 months or less?
Well,
Doesn't make any
let me
sense.
ask you: if he won the special election, would that, as an independent, would that allow him to be able to run in the general election as an independent?
I believe the people running for the general election are already running for. I think the primaries have already happened. I don't think there's a way for him to run for a seat in Kentucky for a Senate seat in Kentucky. If there was a way for him to run for a Senate seat in Kentucky, he would have already filed those papers by now. He already
Okay.
lost because he lost his House primary, right? Which is what he was running for, and that was the primaries for the entire state.
Right.
So, you know, he would have to file like I mean, just like here, there's petition season. There's, I mean, there are metrics for everything. So the only way he gets on that seat is if the Republican Party, right, puts him on the seat,
Puts
or
him
the
there.
Democratic Party puts him there, right,
Right.
to replace somebody else who's already on the seat.
Okay. I thought it was interesting, but I guess
I think
alleg-
everybody wants Massey just because they think Massey's a thorn, but Massey wouldn't be any different than McConnell. Why would anybody think Massey would be different than McConnell?
well, yeah,
Massey voted with Republicans 95% of the time. The only thing he differed with them on was Epstein.
Was Epstein. And the war.
Because all he really cared about was sticking it to Trump. You didn't want to.
Well,
stick
that
it
would
to
be another
Republicans.
reason
He
for
didn't
him to
them
want to
stick
do
it
that.
But what's in the Senate? What's going through the Senate that would stick it to Trump? How would he be able to do that in the Senate? That in a way where
I don't know.
He's not doing it in the House. Like he has so much power in the House right now, and he's got 7 months left. For him to go to the Senate for a 6-month tour, right, and be a junior senator.
Yeah, good point.
Like junior senator, no committees, no nothing.
Good
I
point.
don't see it.
Yeah.
I just don't see it.
Well,
I think it makes for great TV. Let's put it
Yeah.
that way. I think it makes for great TV.
Yes.
And I think it's 9:17. So I think
I think we're going to
wrap it
call
up.
it, folks. Does anybody have any questions or any comments or anything you want us to talk about briefly before we sign off for the night? I'll give it a minute because there's always a delay.
I think people are just out, so I think people are going to watch us another time. But we
Okay.
definitely appreciate. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you click that bell so you know when we post new content. And please leave a comment, 7 words or more, to hit that algorithm for us. And we will definitely see you on the other side.
Make sure you're following the Daily Gripe. That's our other channel on here. So make sure you subscribe to that. We've got some content that I've already posted and more to come. All right, guys, we love you and we will see you next week. All right, take care.
Peace out.